didn't think about that part. I'm Micah. If you're following me, then you know who I am. This is my husband, Michael. He doesn't talk often, but he's gonna talk today. He didn't want to talk today, but he's gonna talk today. Okay? From the title of this video, you can see we're gonna be talking about kind of like our relationship story, how we met, how I knew he was the one. But the bigger thing is Testimony Tuesdays. It's something God put on my heart. He said that it is your weekly reminder that God is active and alive in the earth, that he's still active and alive in the earth. So we get filled with so much like content, information all the time, all day, God, with social media, when we talking to our mentors and, you know, people at work, just hearing people's stories all the time. But a lot of the time, just us as Christians, we don't have a lot of like Christian content out there. Like we hear a lot of success stories, but a lot of them aren't like going back to God. Like God isn't the source of their success. So Testimony Tuesdays is just a way to allow people to share their trials and their triumphs, and just know that allow us to know that God is the one that got them through. And hopefully it'll lead more people to, you know, either start a brand new relationship with God, or allow them to just begin to trust God more wherever they are, if they already have a relationship with him. Because it's something that we're always taught in our church is that Christianity is not a religion, it's a relationship. So in order to build a relationship with someone, you have to get to know them. And to get to know them, a lot of times, you know, you may talk to your girl or talk to your boy about, you know, you may ask them like, what have you heard about this person, or what do you know about them? So this is kind of us saying like, this is what we know about God, and this is why you should get to know him. So, cool. So, how did I know Michael was the one? I want you to go first, because I just talked a lot. So how did you know I was the one in all of this?
I thought you wanted me to talk about how did I know that you knew that I was the one?
No. So you're going to tell your side of the story, and then I'm going to tell my side of the story. But we can go like all the way back, like, because we've been knowing each other for a long time, but not really knowing each other.
Okay, so taking it back as far as I can remember, when I first saw you, you was a little girl at the church. I didn't know who you were, but, you know, just surface level, I knew that you was just a cute little girl, but I didn't think nothing of it, you know, like not in like an attraction type of way. You were an attractive person, but that wasn't like, oh dang, I need to go holler at her. Because at the time, bro, I was way too old for you. Like you was like a freshman in high school, and I was in college already. So that was dead.
Okay.
But moving forward, then I go to college. I'm finishing up. I get done with school. I finished up my job that I was working in Grand Rapids, and I come back to Detroit to start my motivational speaking company. I just come up to the church just to kick it, hang out with Dan again, and just so happened there's a wedding going on that day. So I go downstairs to the wedding, and somebody sat me next to you, or somehow I sat next to you. I think somebody sat me.
I think I might have did that on purpose. I probably sat next to you.
Oh, you came and sat next to me?
I don't know.
Somehow we were sitting next to each other during the wedding. And since the wedding was small, like, you know, we just making conversation the whole time. And we ended up, you know, realizing that we both cool people. So it was like, all right, cool. And I don't know if I asked for your number or I don't know how that happened, but somehow we exchanged contacts.
I think it was you had something going on. Dominique, his nephew, had something going on. And he was like, you know, I'm going to invite you to this event or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. But my little backstory, I can start here a little bit. I had known Michael since I was like 12. I remember the first time seeing him was at my pastor's college graduation. That's how long I've been knowing my pastor, since I was 12. I started going to that church.
That was in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania. And Michael swear I was not at this graduation, but I was.
Definitely don't remember you.
Anyways, I was at this graduation and I thought he was just like the finest thing ever. But I thought he was way, like, just like him. I thought he was like way older than me, out of my league. But I just always knew like he was cute.
If you was 12, I was 16. No, I was 17.
Yeah, maybe 16, about to be 17,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, so I just thought he was just out of my league. I just knew he was cute and that was it. Boy. Anyways, and then so that's when we first like kind of like knew about each other, but we really didn't know each other because we had both been attending the same church and like kind of became like family friends with everybody there. Okay, then what?
So my nephew had an event, a company called Superlative. Mind you, now this is just being completely transparent, completely honest. I was inviting everybody to that event. It was gonna be Superlative's first big event. We was trying to do it big for our first event. So with me, you know, trying to help out with the company when I got back to the city, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna get as many people as I can to come. So I invited everybody I knew to this event. Just so happened that Micah was one of the people I invited.
And I thought I was special. I thought he was inviting me because he kind of liked me, but clearly that wasn't the case, huh?
Yeah, so no, it was just friends. I just it was my people I knew. So then from there, we hang out some more. We start texting. So once we start texting, we really start to become friends. We really start to get to know each other more. And eventually it grew into you being my best friend. That's all I saw it as. I didn't see it as, you know, I was trying to get on or nothing. You were just a really good friend to me. You was really cool. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I rock with her.
Okay. Now, mind y'all, during this whole time, I still had this crush on him from when I was 12. But when we started, like, becoming friends, like he said, we talked all day, every day. Like, if we wasn't on the phone with each other, we was texting each other all day. Or FaceTiming each other, like something. We was always in contact all day, every day. And so I had liked him this whole time, but the Holy Spirit, it was like something like I was always like the person that was very like, I like you and I'm gonna like let it be known, like kind of like aggressive in the relationship. But this time was like different. Like the Holy Spirit would just not let me say anything about us dating, nothing about boyfriend and girlfriend, like nothing about me liking him, like not even, like even though he probably like seen it obviously because I'm, you know, responding to him all day. I'm like, maybe people had already told him that I had liked him, but it was just like, the Holy Spirit like would not let me like really say like I'm trying to pursue you. He like forced me to allow Michael to pursue me.
From there, we started hanging out, going out to different places. And so this is what we consider as dating, looking back on it. But at the time, again, I just thought we was kicking it. So we went skating, we went to the drive-in.
Pistons
games, Kevin Hart. Well, Kevin Hart, we was actually dating by then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we was hanging out a lot. And one day, I was helping out with my pastor at Righteous Movement. We was at, I think we went to Grand Valley that night. And so that's a long trip. So on that trip, it's a 2.5 hour trip. I'm texting Micah, but she's not responding. She ain't said nothing to me that whole day, I don't think. And so I get to the event. He said something that made me think about you and how I didn't want to lose you. And so I'm like, dang. So on the way back from our Righteous Movement, I talked to Pastor Matt about it. And he was like, if you think that God is telling you that, you don't want to lose her, then let her know. You know, let it be known so that, you know, you guys can move forward and pursue a relationship with one another and see how that goes. So I'm like, all right, cool. So, you know, me being smooth, Mikey Mike, I sent her a text message where I just like laid out the whole text message. And
I'm mad. I'm trying to find it right now and I can't. I wish I could find it. Maybe I'll post it later.
Yeah, man. So I spit a little game in a text message. I didn't want to have a phone conversation in front of Pastor Matt. So I text her, and then she basically, I could see that she was blushing through the text message, and she was like, "Oh, we got to talk about it later. Call me when you get home."
Okay.
So then now we can go to your side, I guess.
So I wasn't blushing through the text message.
Start off from why was you not talking to me that whole day? Like, what's up with that?
Oh, so okay. So like I said, we was texting each other all day, on the phone all day, FaceTime all day, and I liked him, but I was trying to like conceal this, and that wasn't like something that I was used to. It was literally like painful to keep it in any longer that I liked him, because after we started becoming friends, I really, really, really liked him at this point. So it was just like, how long am I going to have to keep this in, Lord? So at the time, I was up at school at Oakland University, and one of my campus ministers, I brought it to her attention that, I'm talking to this guy, we talking all the time, but he not like saying nothing. I don't know if he like me. We spending all this time together. We talking on the phone. He taking me out on dates. Michael was paying for everything, doing everything, even though he wasn't calling it dates. So that I might have liked him because of that too, because I thought he had money at this time.
I did have money at that time.
I thought he had some money, so he was just like doing everything. So I'm telling her all of this, and then he was just like, and then I told her how old he was or whatever. And so she's like, yeah, he's too old at this point to like not be intentional about what he got going on. Like she was like, you need to let that go. Like, you need to slow down, at least slow down and like see if he says something or whatever. So that was literally the day before he asked me to be his girlfriend. So the next day, all day, I'm like one word texting him, ignoring his calls. I'm studying, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, just keeping busy as I should have been doing kind of the whole time. But it ended up working out anyways. But I was just, being busy all day. And then later on that night, he ended up, texting me saying all this stuff. I want to be the reason that you smile every day. All that nonsense. Yeah, you said that. Yeah, you said that.
Hey.
So I thank God for her advice. It was just like, even though, it was only literally a day difference, I feel like that had I kind of been doing that from the beginning, like allowing him to kind of pursue me more, like, because even then I was still like interacting with you just a little too much. Like now I would give the advice to, don't be on the phone with him all day. Let him, see you continuously being busy, because I did start getting like a little lazy, like once we started talking. Yes, you don't think so? Yeah. No, you did. I had a lot going on. Like I was trying to start a nonprofit organization. I was working, I was in school, but then once I was staying on the phone with him all day, every day, like all that kind of like just, slowed down. Obviously I was still working, I was still going to school, but I wasn't being about my business as much as I was before I met him. So that would be like some advice I would give people, to like really just allow him, to pursue you, at least up front. Like this all happened like within 2 months of us. Well, I don't know how long we was hanging out, being friends. Was it like 6 months? Or was it 2 months?
About 6.
Yeah, maybe about 6. This was all going on in 6 months. Like them first 6 months, like really just try and be friends with that person and allow them to get to know you. Allow that man to just, really, really pursue you. But yeah, so he asked me to be his girlfriend through the text message. I was like, well, I'm not going to answer through the text message. But my best friend knows we was living together at this time. So I came in the room like acting like I was shouting. Like I was so happy. It was funny. I was so happy. I'm like, finally, like I feel like I did everything right. Like I didn't try and like kiss him. I didn't try to like, I wasn't being lustful with him or anything like that. It was just like straight, like we friends, and like he genuinely likes me as a person. And I thought that was like the greatest thing ever. So he asked me to be his girlfriend. He ended up calling me, FaceTiming me that night, and like we ended up making it official. Mm-hmm. The testimony in all this is, before I started messing with Michael, like I was a mess. I feel like I was very promiscuous, and I was just, really just doing my own thing, not following God when it came to my relationships. But this one was something totally different. I I had to listen, and I knew it was different because one day, this was like the first time we hang out when we went skating. And I was getting off work, and after work we was going skating together, and I had just had like butterflies like all day, and I was like, I never felt this way like about nobody. Like, why am I feeling like this? I never felt this nervous like to do something with somebody. And I called my best friend Yasmin, like, why do I feel like this? She was just laughing like, I don't know, that mean you like him, like, I don't know. But mind you, this is our first time hanging out, but I feel like that was just God letting me know like this was different, like don't mess this up because you want to, you know, do your own thing. So like I said, the whole time, like I was listening to that quiet voice, like, you know, don't mention that you like him, don't pursue him, let him pursue you, like just let it flow, don't rush into nothing. And I think before you came back home, I think you was going through your own like transition phase too when it came to relationships.
Yeah, shoot. My transition was that I was done with relationships. I wasn't looking for nobody. I wasn't praying for nobody. I was just...
Why? Because you was a hot mess.
Well, I wasn't a hot mess, but
Yes, you
I
was.
was doing what everybody else do at that age. You know, you talking to different people and being promiscuous and being out with a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got tired of it. I finally said to myself that this is not going to get me anywhere. This is just taking me in a direction to where I'll look back later on and realize I've wasted a lot of my time chasing women and spending my money on these women when I could be investing into myself. And so I was really on this journey of just self-development and trying to be a better me. And so that's when I started my company. I was making a plan to move back to my dad's house and pursue my dream and just see what happens and not have to work for somebody else. And that's why I wasn't really trying to get into relationships with women, because I felt like I wanted to stay focused, and it was working, and that's how I got to where I am today.
Mm-hmm. But he needed me to propel him to the next level. He needed all this favor, okay?
Yeah.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing and finds favor with the Lord, okay?
Yeah.
So,
Preach.
yeah. Anything else we should add? Any advice for like people who feel like they ready for marriage, but not necessarily like trying to jump into it with the first person they see, not trying to like jump into a relationship with the first person they see? Like, how do you go about, you know, waiting for a husband or a wife, or looking for a husband or a wife?
I don't think that you should be looking for somebody. The way that it happened with me is the way I feel like it should happen, to where you're not looking for anybody, but God will place them in your life, and eventually you'll notice how significant they are to your happiness and to your well-being. And so once you recognize that, then it's like, all right, now I found them even though I wasn't looking for them. And now it's like, okay, now let me try to pursue this. Let me court them, you know. But if you spend your time trying to find your significant other, I think that what's going to happen is you're going to bump your head on a lot of people who are not the right people for you. You're just going to continue stumbling into those type of relationships. And eventually you'll get like me, where you just tired of it and you just not talking to nobody. So just focus on what it is that God has called for you in your life. Be able to spend each day developing yourself, being a better you. And eventually that person will come into your life and they'll notice that you have been improving. And so they won't notice that you're improving, but they'll notice that you are who you are today. And they don't know how far you came, but they'll see who you are today, and hopefully you've come far enough to where it's attractive to them.
Right. Yeah, I like that a lot when you were saying just like developing you. I think that's something. We got married when I was 22. Okay, I'm 23 now. We got married when I was 22, so we met when I was like 20, I believe.
19.
I was like 19 or 20, one of those.
19 turned 20.
But so I got married very young. I am very young. And one thing I don't regret it, but one thing I would do differently or tell other people to do is really, like he said, focus on yourself. I was, even before Michael, I was so stuck on like, really, whenever I did have someone or somebody I was talking to, I don't really claim a lot of people. I probably only had one boyfriend before, if I really like think about it. But I talked to a lot of people, and I put a lot of time and effort into those relationships, and I wish I would have put all of that time and effort into pursuing God and pursuing my purpose. Because like I said, I was in church at 12. I met God at an early age, and I was gifted in ministry, but I took up a lot of my time pursuing man, like just human, period, trying to find friends, trying to find a man, like relationally or whatever. And I wish I would have, spent that time being busy in the Lord, because now that I have a husband, I think it talks about this in the Bible, how, he says it's better to be single, even though it's nothing wrong with being married. It's better to be single, because then you have all your time to devote to the Lord. And I can see the fruition of that, because I do have to think about my husband, and I do have to think about my child not before I think about me, but kind of, because it's like I got to make sure my household is, that's a responsibility of mine, to make sure my household is taken care of. And then comes, okay, Micah, what are you doing for you? What do you need to get done? So I think it's very important to develop personally before you even think about any type of relationship at all. Other advice I would give is just, when you think about marriage, don't just think about like the pictures, the trips, like having a companion for the rest of your life. It's a lot of hard work. I mean, even though like, I wouldn't say we don't like argue a lot, but we have our...
We disagree
on a lot of things. And I think in our counseling, we learned that we will go through an adjustment period. And I think we're still in that period, because you're becoming one with a person. And I think nowadays young people are getting married, but they don't think about, you have to become one with this person. It's not like you can still be, I know people think you can be independent and still have somebody. In a marriage, if you're doing it God's way, in a marriage, you really can't. Y'all are becoming one. It's no, he got his thing going on, I got my thing going on. No, y'all are involved. Y'all lives are beginning to intertwine, and that's hard when you've been an individual your whole life. For all 23 years, or 22 years, I've been doing my own thing. And now to have to intertwine his life with somebody else's, that takes time. It may take a year, it may take 5 years. Hopefully it don't take 20 years, but that's a lot. And you have to be able to find somebody who you can go through that, basically this like knitting, or first you shedding yourself first of all, and then you binding yourself together with this other person. So you have to find somebody who has the character to withstand all of that. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to marriage. People don't think about that. Like you're literally becoming one with this person. And I think that's why a lot of people give up early, because they forget that. They think that, this person should be doing things the way I said they should do it. And, whatever I say is right. That's where a lot of our things come in as, like, we both have been raised to think this certain way, to do things certain ways, but it's like, no, well, I do it this way. So now it's like just trying to, compromise and figure out which ways to do things.
Yeah, we just both particular. We both particular with how we do things, and neither one of us do things the same way as the other person. So
yeah,
that's where it just kind of always, we looking sideways at each other about stuff.
And that's the little stuff, but it's a process, but we're doing it together. We in this for the long haul, right? All right, so that was our first, it won't be the last, Testimony Tuesday. Now listen, I know we said weekly reminders, but I don't want it to just be me sharing my story all the time, or Michael sharing his stories all the time. I really want you guys to participate with me. So if you guys could, if you have a testimony that you feel that needs to be shared, but you don't necessarily want to share it on your own platform, I would love for you to like send in your stories. You guys don't necessarily have to do a video, but you can even message me with something, and I would love to share your stories on Tuesdays. So as they come in, it might be like, bi-weekly on a Tuesday, or hopefully it is weekly if we get enough, stories coming in. But if you would like to send videos as well, can we send it to Michbruc? So if you would like to do a Testimony Tuesday and send in a video, send it to michbruc@gmail.com, michbruc@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to like edit it and upload it. But I was led to do this just simply for the kingdom, so that God's voice can be heard through all of our stories and all of our testimonies, just putting out more Christian content. So if you enjoyed this, please like it, please comment, please share. We would love to hear your feedback and any topics or anything that maybe we didn't answer and that you have a question about. Now, be respectful. This is our marriage that you're talking about. So we will answer most of your questions to the best of our abilities. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.